Welcome to the Jake Fine podcast. This is episode 2. We're doing a little bit of a different format here for this episode. This episode is going to be with my mentor, Peter Hostrawser, who is a broadcasting major from Purdue, I believe, and he's a business teacher now, and he's helped revolutionize many of the Chicago suburbs business departments. He's highly sought after, and I'm blessed to have him as a mentor. He provides an interesting viewpoint because he I would say that I'm half entrepreneur, half filmmaker, and he is a business teacher with a background in video editing and broadcasting and all that kind of stuff. So he really understands my craft at a degree which many people don't who are also entrepreneurs. So it works out really well. Every time I work on a project, I send it to him, and he gives me feedback amongst other people. And we happen to have a call today to go over the latest cut of a mini documentary that I'm working on for DG Sax, one of the greatest saxophonists in Chicago. And I wanted to just kind of like put this out there, show you guys the power of feedback in a creative endeavor and what it looks like to take feedback and talk through things that are wrong in a piece of art. I would love it if you guys check this out, take from it what you can, and enjoy.
Yeah, I thought this would be cool because it's like breaking down a documentary before it's out, and I have the first draft and then I have this draft.
Yeah.
And then it'd be cool to like completely dissect it and like maybe just put all of it out, like put the first draft, put the second draft, put this episode out.
Sure.
I just thought that would be kind of cool too.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the process, right? So,
yeah,
it's good.
So go ahead. I want to hear your feedback.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What when you rewatched it, because I don't want to repeat things that you already know.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, so tell me when you rewatched it, what notes did you take to change? And then we won't like double up and,
Gotcha. Okay. So I took like technical notes, like things that I messed up that are just like technical edits, and then things that I thought I should change to the story or add to the story, really.
Okay. Well, let's start with technical, man. Let's go there.
All right, I'll go through all these. The footage at the beginning was shaky. That was more of a critique of my filmmaking. And then cover the jump cuts when he's talking about his parents like supporting his passion. There were like jump cuts between interview shots, and I just want to like cover those up with him playing the sax.
Got it.
And I think jump cuts are fine here and there, but there was enough throughout the edit that I was like, that just looks like a YouTube video. So let me cover those up.
Got it.
And then more of that. Then I had a black screen at the end of the 2:45, or at around 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And I didn't hold it long enough. And I think black screens are good because it kind of helps you just like realize what you just saw. I think it signifies like, it's like a period to a sentence.
Yeah, no, yeah. I didn't really notice that actually too much. So
yeah, because it was really quick and I didn't like hold it long enough for it to be noticeable. So I wrote make that longer. More technical stuff would be, there's an audio error where it's too quiet at around 10 minutes and 7 seconds. There was an analyzed frame at 12 minutes and 57 seconds. So those are the technical things that I caught.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, as much as you can regulate, and I don't know, are you on Final Cut? Is that what you're using?
No, I'm on Premiere.
Okay. So when you're doing that, can you, the level, the consistency all the way through the thing of audio, right? So that was a challenge I think that you had with your first documentary. Obviously you didn't have the mics and the levels you had to boost and different things like that. I get that. But for this, like the music comes in hot, loud sometimes, you know, and it's like, you know, I don't know if it was just rough cut like that or not, but you know, as much as you can keep those levels even all the way through, because sometimes like the background music, the audio levels in Nashville were way up on the scenes, and sometimes when he was talking, it was like I can't even hear Derek talking, right?
Right.
About that. So the audio levels throughout, if you can just get those even keel all the way through, right?
Okay.
I know the cut throughs though, and you're doing a great job, dude. Like I got to tell you, man, like the edits that as this thing is building through, it's looking, you know, way more professional than your last one. But the audio levels are still a challenge for you. So I don't know, like if you keep his audio at the same height, but then you know you intersect with, you know, music slash what's going on in the B-roll, and then lower it and upper and lower that. But
Yeah.
because those letters, you know, we have our speakers up, and as we were watching it, all of a sudden it was like bam, and you're like, whoa, you know, like hold that off,
Gotcha.
you know. So
Okay.
that was happening a little bit throughout, so I'm glad you caught that. And yeah, the music was a little loud when he was young, like he was discussing that, so
Okay.
you
Like
turn that down.
when he was like the concerts of his
Yeah,
in his youth. Okay.
100%. Yeah. So
Uh,
like as much as you can kind of turn that down a little bit. And you should see decibel levels, you know, on your editor as much as possible to keep those at a similar level through where it's just consistent. And just
yeah,
taking a,
I
yeah.
can like scrub across the timeline and like
Mhm.
make sure it's all at a similar level when
Yeah.
I adjust
Yeah. So,
everything.
I mean, I'm on the generic Camtasia, but like you can still like, you can level out what you need to level out on different audio tracks.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Um, I will tell you, like, it's interesting because I and my wife felt about this too. Was, you know, the Nashville intro is long. Like, can you shorten that whole story up? Like,
The intro.
like the intro to them going on stage, right? It was just like, I
Okay.
get it, you have to tell the story of them hyping it up or trying to hype it up,
Hmm.
but it was just really long, and actually, you know, if you could cut that down to where he's like saying something, boom, audio, a video, and then, you know, it does entice a little bit of, hey, what's going to happen. But I think, you know, as my wife said, she was like, that was really long, and then I just kind of got bored with it. And I was like, at this point I don't care what happens in Nashville. So it's kind
Okay.
of like shortening that edit as much as possible. um, and that was pretty much a lot of the technical stuff. Your edits are great though, man. It's coming together. I can see it. You definitely have studied. You've studied a lot in how these things come in and out, and it flows with the story. I think just, you know, one of the things that I was taught was when you're going through edits like that, keep very consistent on how long each edit is, B-roll wise. You know, if you're opening a sequence and your first, let's say Nashville is like, I don't know, 20 seconds, then your next open sequence should be 20 seconds, and then the next one. And then if you're doing B-roll cuts, if you're doing, you know, I don't know, like 2 or 3 seconds of a video, everything should be very close to that as much as possible. So
Mm.
there's a consistency through it. But you're also, you know, you're drawing emotion by using different lengths of things and things like
Yeah.
that. So
Something I've learned, and I didn't really implement it in this edit, but something I've learned is like if you want to make one shot have more emphasis than other shots, then what you do is like the shots right before it, you
yeah.
make like, let's say each shot is 19 frames, so there's a rhythm to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fifth
Right.
shot that you want to draw out is like
Mm-hmm.
60 frames,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and you feel
100%.
that shot even more. So
Right. Right.
maybe I should implement that even
Well, I
more.
mean, you're also playing around with, which I saw some obviously the music behind it is really good. So like, you know, you got the suspense music, and I noticed that, right? So that actually makes it as well. And then you're using, you know, slow-mo a little bit and slowing it down a little bit, and kind of like I felt that at the end of the Nashville thing. It was like, oh, you know, like
Yeah.
it was. So I get what you're doing there as well. So in those, you know, you kind of run through. It doesn't have to be the exact same on every segment, but you know, that consistency. So yeah, I can see that. And then yeah, you know, it was interesting because I asked my wife a good question. This is more like storyline, right? And I asked her, I was like, what do you think the point of the video is?
This I
And
want to hear.
she couldn't tell me. She was just like, well,
Okay.
you're like, it's a Derek, what's he using it for? I don't know. Like it,
Okay.
what she was looking for is a little, and I don't know if you can edit it out or pull some of his, you know, later stuff, but foreshadowing as much as possible early on. Like what I think from talking to you, I kind of know the video is about music, learning through it, and then I'm ready to launch and do even more, right? But I'm not sure the video actually says that.
Well,
Yeah.
do you want my answer? Like
I mean,
what I
I'm
think
just
it's
telling
about?
you. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, go ahead. I'm
Um,
just telling you what my wife was saying. She was like, it
right.
didn't really have a point. Like at the end, I didn't really understand
Yeah,
what that story was told, you
I
know.
get it. Okay. Well,
But go ahead. Yeah, I want to hear like you know, obviously.
here's here's what I'm thinking, but I'm new to like making like obviously the way I'm looking at it is like it would be cool to offer this as a service where like you know how people will do like promote like corporate will do like promotional documentaries
Hmm.
and stuff
Hmm.
like that. I think it would be cool to just make like a real piece of like cinema for somebody that's not so corporate. So like what I'm trying to do is like tell a story with a real theme and
Hmm.
like a short film almost. And the to me the theme of it is like the lessons are in the hardship. And so that's why I kind of like drew out that scene in Nashville because like I
Hmm.
tried to like I do agree with you that when I watched it last night that part where it's just that one shot of the stage where you're waiting for James to come on and
Hmm.
Derek's like announcing him, that hangs for too long. And then I got bored of that. But then once they came on, I feel like yeah, I'm trying to relish you in the failure. And then
Right.
what happens right after that is they learn and then they come back from it. And the point of it to me is like the lessons are in the failure. And that's like
Hmm.
that doesn't have as much to do with Derek. But then when Derek puts it out, it'll really show like kind of who he is as an artist. And then I think the way I tried to tie it up was like what he learned from that was like his purpose. And I think the sax, him playing the sax kind of represents the purpose that he
Hmm.
has. Like what if you pay attention, he's only playing the saxophone. You know how I have that B-roll of him playing sax
Hmm.
and his
Yeah.
music? He only is playing it when he's talking about purpose or like his purpose or like
Hmm.
something that relates to his
Right.
purpose.
Yeah. Totally get it.
So it
Yeah.
comes back in at the end. And I'm trying to do that. That's something I like to do with like I'm
Okay.
doing that
Yeah.
with Manimal.
Hmm.
But so I'm not as much trying to be like this video is supposed to like be this symbol for Derek. It's more like a documentary for him to give to him for his platform, and then it'll just kind of I don't know what it's supposed to do really. Is that what she means? Like what's it
Yeah.
for?
So, well, yeah. I mean, she was just like, you know, she's like, "What's the point of the video? What's the question that's being answered through it?"
Mm,
And I understand now, like you going through, it's almost like the editor's cut. Like we just kind of went through that, and you know, it's kind of hard for me to you know be a critique of this because I kind of know the ins and outs of editing
mm,
and such, so I kind of have a skewed biased look at something. So yeah, definitely was picking up on the things of when he was on his saxophone, like yeah, he was talking about his own brand and who he was, and you know, connecting that. I don't think the average viewer is going to know that, so there might be and maybe it just depends on how artistic you want to be, really. I mean, there is no right or wrong here. That's what's interesting. So, but I totally get her point to the average viewer of a documentary. I mean, they're just like, okay, that was a story. Why? You know, she didn't really understand why.
Yeah.
And maybe in some of his conversation, you can pull that foreshadow, boy, I learned something here. Or, so, I know Derek's got a lot of words. I mean, he rambles, he's got a lot of different things. I'm sure you have a lot of role on him talking. But I'm wondering if you can pick something out there to give the I don't want to call him like a regular watcher, but like, somebody who doesn't really do artistic views of things, a little bit of a foreshadow and a little bit more of an answer at the end of why did we just walk through this? It's not necessarily corporate. It's basically just storyline, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know, I mean, that's completely up to you and Derek, but that was a very interesting, a natural kind of rhythmic through here's the beginning of the story, here's what happened. So you think about like the curve, right? You're like, all right, man, we got this thing, and then boom, Nashville hits, and then we dig ourselves out of it, which you did a good job of that as well. And then the end, maybe it's just because the end point, he'd never really connected his own brand that much, or it wasn't evident, maybe he did, to what he learned from that and how he's going to take that forward. He was just kind of generically saying, I'm learning and I'm ready to go on my own, and that's the way it felt at the end. And I'm not sure you can change that. It might not be in the conversation, but that's just, and again, I'm going deep here. So, this is all artistic view. So like I said, there's no right or wrong here. I'm just giving you the feedback that my wife gave me a little bit after watching it. So there was one more thing about like Houston and Dallas and in Phoenix. Is there any more like clips of that, or is there? Yeah. And you showed a few. I think you showed Kansas City where they were hopping off and stuff. I always envisioned when he was talking about, going from Houston to Dallas and even to Phoenix, I envision a map where it's like ding, 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 going.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. I mean, that might be too much, but that's just again, like, this is what's so hard about this, Jake, is like, I have my own artistic look at things. You have yours, and one's not better than the other. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think, overall though, I mean, even now you look at this, you get that audio stuff down. That's huge. And then, tighten it up just a little, I would say, on the Nashville thing. I see what you're trying to do though, because I was just like, ooh, like you did great cuts with the people up front, just kind of like bored. And it was just like, ooh, you felt it.
Did it make you uncomfortable?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
I felt bad. I was like, oh God. And like, I know Jams, and his energy actually was a little bit down on that show watching him.
Okay. Yeah.
But I know him, and I know what,
Right.
what energy he brings. And then I just, that was just like, gosh, man, that was like in a room where I've taught before, where, like it's a place where you're just like, I have $1 million for you. We can make you look great and have fun and feel this, and let's go. And everybody's just sitting there like looking at their phone, and just like, I'm like, you're kidding me, but you still have to keep that energy up. So I did get that message definitely through that.
Yeah.
But again, I think, the round out the end, take a look at like some of the ends of documentaries that you see, and what are the wrap ups? What are the endings there? Is there something that you can pull from Derek, and, or, I love the saxophone, piece. That's really cool. I love the ending. I mean, you brought that all the way through. Is there one thing where it's just like Derek says something and it's like, bam, mic drop, we're done, and I don't know. Yeah.
I think I can put that together. I think it'll be more, I just like I think I rushed to the ending because I was like so tired of editing yesterday, but like,
I totally understand that.
Yeah, like you kind of just are like, after 5 hours you're like, okay, I need to send this out and get, like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah, you got to step away. I mean, that's something, I did that all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think at the ending there's going to be like, I'll put in my voice kind of saying something along like to the tone of, so what's next for you?
Right.
After what did you learn from this thing? And then he really talks about, and I have this footage, he really talks about like, my purpose is like the next step for me is building my own platform. And yeah,
Right.
I put that in there a little bit, but just
Mhm.
drawing it out and really giving it detail and showing what he's doing.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Anywhere he's attaching that to his next step, like
yeah,
anything that does that, that's pretty clear. And then, watch me go, or, there's always a line somewhere. And I know you can pull it, especially from Derek, but
there's a line in there, but I didn't use it for the last line, but there's a line where he's saying like just learning, like just speaking the universal language, which is music. To me, that's the last line.
yeah.
It could be.
Yeah, it depends on
And
how.
then
Yeah,
yeah,
again, like you drop the music underneath it. Yeah, yeah, it's all how you edit.
yeah.
But yeah, but yeah, I mean, outside of this, man, I mean, this is huge. This is 10 times better than the first one that you showed me, because it was just like, all right, here's a
Hmm.
talking head, and it was like da 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 da. So you can see how this thing is progressing.
Hmm.
Um, and the hardest part though is there will come a point where we do this maybe one more time. I don't know, and it'll never. It's like Jay-Z always said, like the Hard Knock Life. Like he hates that song. It's like a huge hit, but he's never done with it. Right? It's
Right.
like it's so. Be okay with when you get a good feeling, you're like,
Hmm.
okay, I think this is it, and then you'll understand, and it does take practice to learn how to not overthink something, because you can. I mean, you can sit this sucker in the editing bay forever if you needed to, but
Yeah, yeah.
you know I think you got like a really good view. You're close. I mean, you're not like, this isn't like, if we went back to the baseball one, we'd be like, oh, okay, so we got a lot more to do.
I can't even watch that thing.
Oh no, you should watch it though. I mean,
I've
and the
tried.
reason, well, the reason is because that's your learning journey, man. Like that's
Yeah.
you have to go through that. You have to.
Hmm.
And a lot of people, they, well, you understand that, right? You see that and you're just like, this is something you needed to go through. It's like, the first time you got on a bike and you fell off, and you don't want to film that, but just so happens you're in the film industry, so you do have to film it, right? And you have
Right.
to see it. And it hurts, but you learn from it. So,
Hmm.
but it also is a reminder of where you came from. So, what I'm telling you, man, I was watching this, and there were a couple jaw dropping, moments where I was like, yeah, this is Netflix. Like this is it.
Wow.
So yeah. So
Thank
just
you.
your studies are going well, and the more that you intake this, and the more that you finish these projects like this,
Hmm.
yeah, you're just gonna keep getting better, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it.
Just
So
build the portfolio.
yeah, 100%.
Um, I think it's cool because like you find like this happened with Derek and it happened with Manimal. Um, which for those who are listening is the bigger documentary I'm working on. But there's you like just kind of film what the person does and you don't know what it means, but then as you study the footage, like the meaning shows itself, and it's just like it almost does its job for you, like it edits itself, kind of like
Right.
Derek with the sax. Like when he's playing the sax, I didn't plan on recording that at all. He just started playing and I was like, wait, keep doing that. And then I'm like, oh, I can use this as the backtrack. Oh, what does this mean when the saxophone comes in? Like Cosmo was really saying that, like think about what the saxophone means to you. And then I'm thinking about it last night. I'm like, oh, it's I only edit it in when he's talking about what his purpose is, or what his parents are talking about his passion is, or at the end when he's talking about what his purpose is. And after like
Yeah.
he talks about like, okay, what's next for me? And then it's like the credits are when he's playing his own sax.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
then
that's,
but you don't even plan those things. They just kind of like,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's honestly, like writing a script and shooting that honestly is probably a little bit easier than doing something
in a
like this.
way,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think you're learning that being a producer, an editor, a director, all these different things, now you're understanding why like big productions have all these different people with, you have a team of people. But you taking this on in a small, it's just like I always look at like, you know, you look at a professional, like let's go everybody, I'll do the cliche LeBron James, right? Like, so every time he walks on a court, he knows every play, and he also knows where everybody should be during any position in any moment of any play, right? You're learning that right now. You're learning how to be the producer. You're learning how to be the editor. You're learning how to be every part of the play. So, you know, when things level up in years or so, you will understand what you're looking for in an editor. You'll understand what you're looking for in a director, and all these different pieces, because it's important. I mean, it's damn near impossible to do what you're doing on a large scale. Right?
Yeah.
If not impossible. I don't want to say anything's impossible.
I mean, but here's the other thing too. Like, I wouldn't mind if it stayed like me, like if my crew never got bigger than 3 people and I had to always do the edits on my own films. Like, I wouldn't, like, I think that would be kind of cool. Especially, I think that's way more doable with documentary, which is generally
we'll
what I'm,
out.
yeah.
I mean, well,
Like,
you're right. I mean, I get it. Like, but you know, and that's future, right? But
right.
you're in those learning stages of running the plays and doing what you need to do. So just embrace it, embrace the learning, man. You know, I showed a couple of podcasts, you know, of people who were in your class. I won't mention them here because we're on a podcast, but basically everybody I know just fell in love with the process of learning. And that was it. Like, they didn't care about the grade. They didn't care about the output. And it seems like you're doing that, because when you see your progress, and again, when you finish this thing, bam, now I got something finished, and there you go. So, you know, you're falling in love with learning about this. And the more people you can bring into that love of learning and continue, it just gets better, man.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I was planning on moving out in the summer with a roommate, but the roommate who I was planning on moving out with, I think he kind of he changed his mind a little bit, and he wants to do dorm life this year. So I don't have a roommate. I'm not going to move out. And that kind of like changed my focus to like making as much money as I can. So now I'm like, okay, I have all the time in the world to like not focus on like making money today so I can afford to move out. It's like, so my shift is like, it went from trying to make as much money as I can to trying to get as much experience as I can in as many different things in the filmmaking umbrella and doing the best that I can. And I feel like that is the better mindset for like the long term. So like instead of door dashing every day, I'm doing stuff like this, making and I have time every day to like learn, create content, go work with my clients, and like enjoy myself every day instead of just like, and I feel like it's making me way more passionate about it overall.
You're right. Well, number one, yeah, you want to keep that passion. Number two, like we've talked before, you want to go deep, right? You don't want to go wide. And in order to go deep, there's opportunity costs. So what you're not doing, what are you doing with that time? And, you know, we've talked a little bit about, you know, as you were editing and doing this project, you're like, well, I don't know if I have time to do it. Well, you do. It's just, you know, and by the way, you actually learned at the end of 5 hours, probably should take a break, sleep on it, and maybe go back to it, right? There's something you learn. So everything that you do, and you're doing it now, is noting what you can take away from that session, because there's opportunity in everything, and there's actually learning in any situation. And once you get into that, even if you were door dashing, there's still learning there, but it wasn't, you felt your passion moving away. So if that's pulling you away from doing something you love, then just don't do it anymore, right? I mean, there are necessities, there are crappy jobs, there are things that we're going to have to do, but you know, if you are going all in, you go all in, man.
Yeah. And I'm like eventually doing what I'm doing for Derek is something I'm going to want to charge for. And it's like, I could either like slow that process of that happening down by going for the easy money every day, or I could like just dive into it even more. And I feel like, yes, I might not get paid as much as I want to this month, but in a couple months, because I'm so good at this, or I'm much improved at this, I can do this for a living. So it's like
Yeah.
you're just building
I think it's a
building a
yes and.
business.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a yes and. I mean, I think sometimes you do have to pay the bills, and
Yeah.
might as well make a little money here and there.
Right.
But as long as you can do and think and learn, you can go ahead
Yeah.
and do it. Why not do a documentary on a Door Dasher? What the hell? Who cares?
That would be
So,
dope. I would love
so
that.
and make some money while you're doing it. Who knows, right?
Yeah, right.
So there's always different opportunities out there. So, but you're definitely moving forward, man.
Totally. Yeah, I'm just like, I want to like do and learn as much as I can about documentary and really just documentary. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in anything else really.
Well, there's two ways to do it: is get yourself with a group of doers that are doing documentaries, watch, learn, communicate, and then create
Yeah.
documentaries and keep going from there. So,
Yeah, totally.
yep. All right.
Cool. Let me a quick plug at all.
Yeah. PeterHostrawser.com. Unlearningcoach.com is coming. I got some classes that are coming through, basically doing what we're doing, man. We're connecting people with real life, understanding how to find learning in every situation. You're doing it, man. So that's what I do. And if anybody out there wants to do it, let's hook up. Let's go.
Facts. Hit them up. Hit them up. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, man.
All right. Have a good day. See ya.
Yeah.
That was my podcast with the legendary Peter Hostrawser. Basically, if you just to kind of help you guys understand what he does, he is a teacher. He's worked with multiple different high schools. He's revolutionized multiple business departments within high schools. He's helped be a part of several journeys of his students that have led to very successful paths, whether it's Derek, who I'm making a documentary about. That was one of his students. He's gone on tours with his saxophone. He's played on the stage of Wyclef Jean, who's a legend in the music space, or Daniel Bevan, who is one of the top website designers in Chicago. He helps take these students, hone in on their craft, and like turn them into beasts in their industry. And he's great. He's helped me a ton. So what we were just doing there is going through my mini documentary about one of his students, Derek Griffin, and going through the second draft and picking it apart and giving me feedback and talking through some of these things. Because I think that's an important part of the creative process for me, is taking a thing that I'm working on and sending it out to a circle of people who I can trust their feedback. And usually that ends up giving me great insight and helps me ideate some of the things that I need to do to make the story even better. So collaboration is a huge part of creativity, and I definitely rely on that when I'm making my own films, and it's a super important piece. So I wanted to go ahead and show you guys like kind of what that looks like in depth, and I would highly recommend any kind of like get a close circle of eyes that who you can send your projects to, and whose projects you can also give feedback to, and it'll help all parties involved do a lot better. So I'm going to end the podcast there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. And yeah, have a good week. Make some documentaries.